Nicola Sturgeon wants to make Scotland an independent nation and take the country into the EU, but Scottish quarterly accounts published in January raised doubts about the Scottish National Party's objective. The report highlighted that Scottish economic output fell by 3%, reducing the overall value of the economy by £5 billion. The accounts also showed that the Scottish economic deficit of £12.6 billion had risen to 7.2% of GDP, when it was previously 7%. This downward revision moved Scotland further away from the EU's guidelines that a state's deficit must be no more than 3%. These figures covered the period for July to September in 2019. While this is technically a breach, it wouldn't stop Scotland joining the bloc if it was an independent state. When countries wish to join the EU, they must fulfill the Copenhagen criteria, which cover stable governance, democracy, protection for human rights, a market economy, and the ability to adhere to the EU's political and economic aims. All new members of the EU are formally required to work towards membership of the euro and to reduce budget deficits to 3% or less as part of the rules set out in the Maastricht convergence criteria. While a deficit of no more than 3% is expected, new members can also negotiate transition periods allowing them more time to meet specific EU rules. Sturgeon and the SNP have pushed for Indiref II with the aim of taking Scotland into the bloc, citing Brexit as the reason. Most people in Scotland voted to remain, provoking Sturgeon to call for a repeat of the 2014 vote when the nation voted to stay in the UK. The economic reduction reported in January was largely attributable to a revision in the value of North Sea oil and exacerbated by sluggish economic growth. The GDP figures emerged having not been announced by the Scottish Government in its economic press release, nor were they available on the usual statistical website, insider.co.uk reported.